Good morning and welcome to the Saturday special of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. Technology is a galloping horse. Sometimes it trots and sometimes it just starts galloping with a speed that is unimaginable. And that's what's happening today. Artificial intelligence, technology, they are jumping sky high, diving down, enveloping our lives as never before. And I was thinking, the speed with which the technology is developing, would the children born last year or this year, 2019, ever experience those things which were a part of our life? Would they be like those kids for whom the experience of their parents and the grandparents are just fairy tales? Would they sometimes wonder how these people lived? Sometimes with a tinge of concern that we were backward, sometimes with a tinge of envy that we enjoyed those things that they never did. You would find them suffering from nostalgia, but their experience would definitely not be identical to what we are having. And then, this is something which amazes me. Till now, what has been happening is there has been a gradual change. But now the change, as I said, is not gradual. It's sudden, comes in spurts. You know it. From manual typewriters to electrics, and then jump to computers with a very short interlude of the electronic typewriters, but that was one thing. Coming back, what those children would never experience. First, they would never experience is the romance of travel. And already the travel has lost its romance, it's become long, boring. But there was a time when there was a romance. Even now there's a time when there's some romance. But what has happened is that the long, boring travel would become a memory of the past. Aside from the Concorde, which was decommissioned in 2003, and I was lucky to travel on one of the flights from London to New York, humanity nearly as much spends time in traveling as in sitting. But then now with the coming in of Hyperloop and supersonics again, even the bullet train might be losing their charm. The supersonic planes would make a comeback, are having comeback. They ferry passengers across the pond. I'm calling Atlantic Ocean the pond in as less as 3.5 hours. And with the Hyperloop technology, these superfast trains would travel at the speed of 387 kilometers an hour. So, how would they enjoy either the romance of the travel or the travails and the troubles of long, boring travel? So, both of them would be missed by them. Another thing they would miss is what is now a rite of passage for the teenagers. I'm referring to the driver license. The moment a child ends the era of childhood and is the beginning of adulthood, he or she receives a passport to drive a car, driver's license. But by the time the newborns of today are 16 years old, self-driving cars would have put an end to this unofficial ritual of driving licenses, because there'll be no need for the human operators to operate the motor vehicles. And whether it's good or bad, but the joy of driving a car would be missing along with the plastic piece or tinfoil piece called the driver license. And if the dream is successful, which is likely to be, 16 years is a long time. So from the child born today in 2019 would definitely not be needing the driver license. Then, the third thing they'll be missing would be their right to have a monopoly on intelligence. This time we say human beings are the most intelligent species of the earth. Not any longer with the coming in of augmented intelligence. I'm not only referring to artificial intelligence, I'm referring to augmented intelligence, where men and women shall compete not with each other but with their bots. So the AI systems would rival and even surpass human experts at specified tasks, even for playing chess, sorting recyclables. So the monopoly of intelligence, which today we claim to have birthright, would not be something which would be the exclusive right of the children born in this age. Children born in this age, in this year, may even never know the joy of going to the college or even the likelihood of joining the workforce, because they don't have to work the way we people work. And with the reduced working hours, and now there's a trend that we should have 3 working days instead of 5 working days. That's likely to be there in the next 2 to 3 years. The third would be the language barriers. There are the fourth. The fourth thing they would not be experiencing. I'm not talking here of enjoying, but experiencing. Today, you go from one place to another place, even to Mexico or Puerto Rico, go to Italy and Germany, you need to know that language. Although English is a lingua franca, yet to really experience that, you need to know that language. But what has happened? The communication tools like Skype have already incorporated instant translating services. So people can speak in different languages and converse in real time without knowing that language. Even Google has incorporated simultaneous translation. Organizations like Beverly Labs are perfecting a technology that will eventually rise to the ability of Babel fish, an alien species found in the book. The book is called The Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy. So if that Babel fish, the alien species, becomes a part of the human life, you would not need to know many languages. And the children born in this age would grow up in a world where anybody can walk to any place, talk to anyone. And the idea of a foreign language would seem foreign. Then, another thing they will never experience is humanity, the human being, as a single planet species. There was a time when we were single country species. we belong to one country and we live there, not any longer. Now we belong to all over the world. So we might, our next door neighbor might be from Mars, from Neptune, from Venus. But definitely, in the light of anyone born in this year, the other planets are definitely going to have intelligent life. And that's the first milestone on the footprint beyond the single planet. One thing they would definitely not experience and possibly miss badly would be quiet places. R.L. Stevenson said, "What's this life? If full of care, we have no time to stand and stare." They would have all the time to stand and stare, but stare at the concrete jungle. Overpopulation is one of the factors that would require humanity to spread on other planets. But this earth would be eliminated. I mean, when I say earth, I mean the empty spaces. The deforestation, the elimination of the farming space would remove all the quiet spaces, and the continuous spread of urbanization would also help increase, I'm saying help increase, noise pollution. So the number of the people would decline, and they would definitely miss the sound of silence. This missing would be the most potent thing. Another thing they would miss or not experience, they would not miss it, but they would definitely experience, is what hunger is like. You see, it's a strange contradiction. On the one side, we are losing the farming spaces, but urban farming, hydroponics, and vertical farming, these three coming up in a big way, would remove all vestiges of hunger. What the scientists are saying, that we are going to fall short of food, is not going to be correct. The vertical farming will bring greater access to the unreserved areas, and it will end hunger in the urban areas. It will be much more easily available. And there will be innovative ways to reduce food shortage, food wastage. They would transform food scraps into sweets and use coffee grounds to grow mushrooms. So these innovations are going to take place, and people born this year are going to miss it. Another thing, they'll miss the paper currency. Already people are missing it. The coming in of credit cards, plastic money, bitcoins internationally, wallet cards. So that's the first blow to the utilization of cash. But already the cash is competing with PayPal, Venmo, Apple Pay, and other payable options. So the children born this year would possibly not even see cash. So the paper currency shall be dethroned, and the joy of enjoying the crisp notes would not be there. Then the digital insecurity they would not experience. Today, our major problem is cybersecurity, digital security. But with the international level, what's going to happen? The growth of Internet of Things, where even household appliances would be the weaknesses in our defense, and they would be guarding our sensitive information. So this would be increasing. Hacking would increase. But then the privacy would be a thing of past. All these laws and the thought of protecting privacy would be useless. The lives would be as open as possible, sitting in your clustered room, not contacting any human being, and yet you will be open to all the world and exposed everywhere. So insecurity would be more. Another thing they'll be not be experiencing, I won't call it missing, is single screen computing. You know, our digital devices currently use a typical flat screen. Tomorrow, the use is going to be far more dynamic. And the children born in 2018 would not know what a single screen is, what a keyboard is. The development of virtual reality and augmented reality, VR and AR, have shifted the paradigm. And these technologies are going to take a quantum jump. You would see new capabilities being used in the computing sciences. Gesture recognition, language processing, and other technologies will more holistic interaction with our devices. And we may find ourselves interacting with systems which we can't even imagine today. So the single screen computing as we see would be an experience which the children born this year would miss. So these are about 10 areas. Actually, there are going to be many more areas, many more segments where children born this year would either not experience or miss and be nostalgic about. What we are going to treat as outmoded things might be a thing of beauty for the children at that time. But then that's the tragedy or the comedy of the human life. We reject something and that something becomes a matter to be cherished. And that's why our old antiques, our artifacts have such a charm for us. Maybe our experiences and things would be in museum appreciated by the children born in this age. Let's see how the things go. Thank you.